have that machete with her. Go ahead.
Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon to the Board of Trustees July 9th meeting. We'll start off with the thought for the day that I grabbed off the internet from allhappyquotes.com. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. Okay. I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance now. We'll have our commander of our local post 366, Jeff Goodrow, go down, lead us off.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I believe we've been doing a moment or two of silence for our military, and we should add in the condo disaster. So please take a moment, contemplate that. Okay, can we have the roll call?
Okay, Mr. Nugent.
Here.
Mr. Gruno here. Mr. Morrissey. Here. Acting Chairman Amos.
Here.
We also have with us tonight, this afternoon, John Coffey, District Manager. We have Stephanie Brown, our District Clerk. Our legal counsel was excused for this meeting. Also in the audience, we have Charles Henley, Finances, Rich Armington, DOR, and HR, and we have our new systems analyst, and her name is, I forgot it already, Mackenzie. If we need it, we have a quorum. Move to approve.
Now we can have the Treasury's report. Treasury's report, please.
July 9th, 2021. Our cash balances in the general fund as of July 1st. Petty cash is $2,500. Operating cash in the bank is $499,447.10. In the MB&T money market account is $2,150,384.55. SBA reserve account is $699,579.29. Total interest-bearing accounts are $2,849,963.84. Total cash balances in the general fund, $3,351,910.94. Total daily deposits was $82,817.96. Interest received in the money market account is $177.97. Assessments received is $128,252.86 for total deposits received of $211,248.79. Expenditures. Those over $5,000, employee health insurance, $26,205.71. NRP purchase of 333 Papaya Circle is $20,300. Legal fees, $16,459.39. Management fees, $13,595.75. Electricity, $7,340.30. Shuffleboard, scoreboard, and supplies, $5,204.01. Payroll tax, $16,295.72. Net payroll, $55,293.61. For total expenditures over $5,000 and above, $160,694.32. The total expenditures under $5,000, $55,780.57 for total expenditures of $216,474.89. I submit the Treasurer's report.
Do we need a motion to accept that?
Move to accept the treasurer's report.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. First Vice Chair,
Yes.
I would like to move audience participation at this point and have the audience participation as part of our town meeting.
I agree with that. Is there any problem with anybody that's here? We've had, I had two people that filled the paper out, but would you like to move your audience participation until the next meeting, which will probably be in about 10 minutes for the town hall? Will that be okay? Okay, we'll do that. Now we need the manager's report. And he's coming in through the curtain now.
My apologies, Mr. Acting Chairman, about that. Resident Relations update, ARC meeting this Tuesday. There were 2 old business permits, one approved, one was tabled. It's an incomplete packet that has been incomplete for a while. 8 consent permits were approved, 6 others, 5 were approved, 1 with stipulations. Next meeting will be on the 20th. VC meeting on the 25th of June. There were 9 cases, 8 were found in violation, 1 is working with staff. Today there were 60 cases on the VC meeting. I didn't get the statistics, but a lot of them, they're mainly all tall grass. A lot of them came into compliance ahead of time, and the rest of them were found in violation. Next violations meeting is July 23rd. Interesting fact of June, 56 homes sold, 47 orientations given with 77 residents in attendance. Food and beverage. Get lost at our Coconut Island event with TC and SAS on August 21st from 5 to 10 p.m. We'll have an island-style buffet from 5 to 6, tropical drinks, upbeat dance music. Tickets for the buffet are going on sale July 19th. The volume is going up. It doesn't need to go up. Okay. Flyers with all the details are posted. See picture to the right of Coconut, the first mate of Chairman Emeritus Klosky, CDO. Now, if you're at home and you're thinking, I've lost it finally, think of a TV show in the 60s with 7 castaways. The name of that show is still copyrighted, so we can't use it. Hence, Coconut Island event. Property services, they've been busy as ever, setting up, breaking down for the 50th anniversary, July 4th celebration, helped with the car show, touching up all around, in and around the shopping center, replacing ceiling tiles that had some leakage from the roofing replacement. Worked on cleaning up the hallway and restroom of Building A that was used for the July 3rd event. And continued cleaning around the fountain, replacing lights, broken irrigation lines, pressure washing, painting, hardwiring timers, repairing cabinets, cables at the pier, electrical breakers, and addressed damage at the veterans shed at the Miko lot, and evicted a poor family of raccoons. Now, before you think Mr. Getz is heartless, he let Mama have 1 day to move the babies out so they weren't sitting on the side of the road with no place to go. But the veterans shed is now raccoon-free. Golf Pro Shop updates, irrigation pump work continues, course aerification is complete, chemicals are still being sprayed, the battle that will continue all summer long with killing the weeds. One thing that if you play golf or if you don't play golf and see big patches where there's no grass, that's where the weeds were. The challenge in killing the weeds is the weeds will grow back in quicker than the Bermuda will fill in. So it is a battle that we will fight, but we'll never win. Grant program, the scoreboard relocation is waiting on a survey. Cart barn repairs waiting. I have those two things in the wrong order. Waiting on permitting, and junior camp date is moved. Junior camp tournament is July 17th. Sign up has begun. Call the pro shop. And as with the rest of Barefoot Bay, we have returned to pre-COVID pandemic operations. All players and guests now must check in at the pro shop prior to play. Some general information update. The Veterans Kiosk is in place. Couple hiccups to work through. One, the scrolling of names is not working yet. Stephanie is diligently dogging the vendor to get that set up, and we inadvertently purchased the wrong mount for the wall. The proper one is on order. Building A update, the smoke and fire detection system, the permits, the work was done yesterday. I just got notice today that the inspections all passed. Talked with the engineer yesterday. They are going to make one last attempt to talk with the building official about the platform issue. We should know which way we go with the platform or no platform around the vent early next week. Shopping center re-roofing, the flat roof is complete. The owners of RJ's is having some work done to their fire suppression system. Like everything else in America, 2021 parts are on order and backlogged, so it may be up to a couple months for them to have their work done. Our vendor understands they can't do their work until the fire suppression work is done. So the rest of that is on hold. The Lakeside table update. Those watching at home or in the audience, we've had some comments from residents about not enough tables and chairs. Miss Mendes and I have multiple times gone over to look at setups, and after events, the tables and chairs are moved repeatedly to the same pattern. What we have done in the past is try to set 4 chairs to a table, and that provides maximum seating. Most of our residents like the square tables put in long rows that cut the seating in half. Remembering Roberto Duran's fight with Sugar Ray Leonard, I finally called no mas on this and had Matt order 10 more chairs, so we will have long rows of chairs and enough long rows of tables, and chairs will match. A lounge HVAC replacement, I notified the trustees earlier this week that I exceeded my spending authority to replace 2 of the AC units. This is something the policy manual exempts us from having to get a second quote, but the lounge was closed enough for COVID. We didn't want it to be a hot place during the summer. August 13th meeting will have confirmation of that purchase. And Mackenzie, can you come up? And I'm pleased to introduce to the community Miss Mackenzie Leva. She started on Tuesday as the management analyst. As she can tell you, she already has a long list of work assignments. And this is Mackenzie. Wave to the folks at home. And welcome. Would you like to say anything? You don't have to. You'll have plenty of speaking time in future board meetings. And that concludes my report. Mr. Chairman, I do have a report from Mr. Reppinger, if you'd like me to read. Mackenzie will get over being shy because she'll get to present a lot of things in the future. Mr. Reppinger sent this report to the trustees last night. In follow-up to a response from Trustee Nugent regarding the status of Stewart Medical land lease, the lease unfortunately is still in drafting. However, my absence from the meeting should allow me additional time to drafting to take large step forward towards completion. I have every expectation that the final agreement will be presented to the board at the August 13th meeting, and I'm doing everything under my power to ensure that it is. I will also be communicating with Stewart Medical next week to offer any assistance I can provide in any preliminary permitting efforts or discussions they may wish to have with Brevard County while the draft terms are finalized. Hopefully that will allow the project to move forward expeditiously from this point. I will keep you advised via email when I have additional information. I also expect to have further updates from Brevard County Building Department on the beach restroom project next week, and we'll follow up via email. And that concludes managers and attorneys' reports.
Thank you, Mr. Coffey. We should go on to incidental trustee remarks, but
I was just going to thank the CVO for all the hard work they did on the 50th. That was quite the celebration. Got a little damp at times, but I think between the show and the artifacts that were in Building C, that was really well done.
thank you, Mr. Marcy. I have nothing, so we're looking for an adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. We're adjourned. Now we're going to move right into the town hall meeting. So we have Monty here. He's going to come by with a microphone. Whoever wants to talk, raise your hand. I do have two people that put in for it. If you want to go to them first, I don't know.
All right. And this is what we did pre-COVID. If anyone feels more comfortable speaking at the podium, you're welcome to come up and speak at the podium. And just when no one's talking, if you raise your hand, I'll bring around. Nancy Isley is one of the slips, so you're first up.
I just like to inquire about A building. What's happening? How, when can we look for an opening?
Mr. Chairman, you mind I answer that?
No, go ahead.
That depends. The only remaining issue on that, I have to remember we have a camera pointing this way. We basically expanded the cooking area double of what the old kitchen used to be. There's two hood vents coming out of the hood system over the cooking area. And it was designed without a platform. Platform is something, if you think about the building a roof, it's all slanted. And a platform is a flat area that future workers can stand on to work on the top of the hood system. Per the engineer's interpretation of the building code, it didn't need a platform based on various factors. Brevard County approved the plans that way. It was constructed that way. When the above ceiling inspector came in a couple weeks ago, he passed the above ceiling work, and as he was leaving, he noticed the exhaust pipes and says, you'll never get a final fire inspection without platforms. We've gone back and forth with the general contractor in the county. It's made its way up to the building official. He says platforms are required. Engineers are trying to make the case with the building official that platforms are not required. The platforms are a custom steel system that has to be fabricated, shipped, and installed. It's one of those things in Florida, a building official has a unique position. The county building official works under the county manager. County manager is by law prohibited from telling the building official how to interpret the Florida building code. There's an appeal process, but the appeal process is what we're looking at the beach restroom piling process that can take a few months. So if we could be lucky and the building official says, no, you don't need the platforms, we're a couple weeks away from wrapping it all up. If not, we're several weeks to get the platforms put in. Thank you. Bob, are you the Bob Schmidt? There you are. You're the original Bob in my heart.
Making you walk. Look at this. All the way around. I would have sat next to you, Nancy, if I had known. All right, Mr. Cook, thank you. All members of Barefoot Bay trustees, thank you for your volunteer work up there, and everybody in Barefoot Bay. I just have three small concerns. One is the shopping center last week lost power for one day. It wasn't a day, but there's a power unit outside the back of building 935 with a gate. It's the huge major power source, and somebody flipped the switches down. It used to be locked up, and I was asked by a couple of the other store people to see if we could get it locked up again. Apparently somebody went in there and threw down the switches, so we couldn't open up until we popped up the switches. That's number one. Number two, I'd like to put my input on representative government. I do believe less government is better. I believe 5 members on the Board of Trustees that are elected to 2-year terms by we the people is a good amount of time for someone to be elected to represent the people, and it's a hard job you guys got. There's a whole lot to learn, and I figure if you could learn it and work good for the people within 3, 6, 9 months or a year, you'll have no problem getting reelected for the next term after 2 years. But getting a 3-year term, and if you don't do well in the first 6 months to a year and people think you didn't say what you were going to do, then I think 2 years is a good limit on that. So I'm for the term limit and for keeping it at 5 people for limited government. And one last thing, I want to thank everybody for their Wells Fargo support, trying to get them back in, because I know a lot of people have asked me that their concerns are, how do I get to that Wells Fargo bank way down in Sebastian? They can't drive, they have their scooters, they have their golf carts, and I think that's just a concern. I hear it's being addressed, so thank you very much.
First of all, I want to say, as many of you know, I had a family emergency just recently, right before our car show, the CVO car show, and I want to thank Liz Ann Taylor and Joanne Plaz, Meg Fragon, and Peter Carey, and the many volunteers that came forward to make that show what it was. I do appreciate it. More than just them, the team of our property services are amazing. They are so helpful. They need kudos. As well as for the 50th anniversary. They were amazing. Again, another good group of people to work with. Jeff, I have to say that CVO did participate in the anniversary, but more than anything else, the community did. Kathy Mendez made sure it was a broad spectrum of people from the community that worked that show, that event. And Manzo was amazing with the history. It fell on her shoulders for most of it. And the CVO books will be available, the anniversary books will be available in the CVO office for those of you that didn't get a chance to go through them and you just want to take a look. On another note, I do want to say with representation, I believe that 5 members is more than enough. 3 to 1, it doesn't matter. 7 and 9 members have been in the past. We've done that. We've been there. What you do find is that you get more chaos from more opinions. I think if you look back into our decade books from our anniversary, you will see the argument was going on way back when. Jeannie can vouch for that. There's a reason it got down to 5. And the history is there. If you want to do your digging, the history is there to see how it worked previously. I do believe that it should be 3-year terms because I've now seen good people step into that position who really knew what they were doing going into that position. It takes a good 6 months to get your feet under you. That takes a big chunk out of 2 years. I think 3 years is something that we should be looking at. The argument there also is the opinions need to be coming from the residents. I think we need more audience resident education about what's going on. More town halls so that our BOT will know what is on our minds. More audience participation in that respect. I understand the audience participation going down to 3 minutes for the BOT meetings. I understand that completely, but we do need some sort of venue that allows us to bring forth more issues that you may not be aware of because you are not involved with. And I have one last thing. I think that each one of our BOT members should be attending the FASD conventions or seminars, the training, at least once in their term. You learn so much from other districts that something is going on there that you may learn about that you can bring back here. For you not to attend doesn't make sense. I was a program manager for a not-for-profit, and every year I was required to go because other people had information that they could give to me from across the country. I just think that that's a necessary requirement for our board members. Thank you.
Jeff?
Can I just put a little bit of a comment on that? The reason Chairman Mino and myself are pro 7-member board, 3-year terms, is because right now with the 5-person board, we have a 3-person election year and a 2-person election year. So from year to year, we lose the continuity. And that is why I feel things don't get done. We get a board in, and they upend everything the previous board did. And so one of the ideas of the 7-person board was we'd have a 3-year, a 2-year, and a 2-year, and no board would ever totally be washed out. So that was the major reason we were thinking about at least presenting that out to the public and discussing it today, was so that we don't have a total upheaval of the board and all the work from the previous board just goes to waste.
Thank you. I just want to say a thank you to this board, to previous boards, and to the administrative staff for continuing to be vigilant on safety and repairs and professionally repaired as needed. Recent events in South Florida remind us of how easily management and short financial responsibilities can let issues slide. We're fortunate here to have confidence in our administration. Sometimes complaints about fee increases resonate throughout the community, and this is one of the reasons for fee increases. And thank you, current board and previous boards, for being diligent and respectful of the facilities that we have here and seeking professional repairs.
Thank you. I think everyone is aware. Closer? Yes. Oh, okay. Usually everyone says you're talking too loud and too much. First of all, I would like to put in a word of thank you to Ann Manzo and to Kathy, to Louise Krause, and to all of the people who worked so hard to make the anniversary a success. And in spite of the rain, it was a success. People left and they came back. We're too hardy to let a little rain chase us away, and we proved it. That cake was something that everyone has been talking about. My daughter in Connecticut sent me a picture of it on my iPad because she was so impressed with it. I would like just to say I had been a recipient of a 9-member board. Absolute horror. I see no reason to change 5 members when they are working together so well. If somebody wants to continue learning and feels they have a lot to offer, fine. You're doing a good job. Run again for 2 more years. We'd like to have you. And I think that the board currently has been working very well and living up to our expectations. Thank you.
I'd just like to comment on the boards. I've been here a long time, and I know the 9-member board is not the best working at. You could never get a good consensus of anything accomplished. So I don't know what is the thinking of to go to 2 more, to 7. If you want to make it 3 years, that might be pretty good. And you alternate the 5 members among those 3-year elections. So you always got somebody rotating around and you have some continuity. But I can't see, what are you going to do with 2 more members except having a lot more discussion and probably a lot more frustration and that too. So I think you ought to stay with your 5 members and maybe up it to 3 years and alternate your elections amongst those 5 members better and go with that. I don't think we need any more mass confusions. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a follow-up question on the Wells Fargo closure. I understand that the board did send a letter in supporting their preventing closure of that. I wanted to know if there's any status update on whether Wells Fargo has responded to the board or not and where we stand with it.
Did anybody know? Have we received anything yet?
We have not gotten any response.
No.
Yes. First off, I'd like to thank Mr. Nugent for his dedication and his attention to detail on finance and budget issues. My request would be for the whole board to address the situation that we have coming up where within 5 years, pool hosts will be making $15 an hour. And from what I see, there is no plan on what the other well-trained people are going to be getting raises for. That's going to cost us a lot of money. I've been told probably $340,000, and I've also been told $500,000 a year. That will leave us with no money for projects. So here we get, again, it's going to get binding. And I hope you guys don't kick the can down the road and say that's another board's problem. But I think it's going to be a large monetary impact to the residents of Barefoot Bay. Okay. I was trying to hear what he was saying, but that's okay. The other thing is, I only get, with back surgery, I only get to play golf once a week, but the greens here are horrible. The ball doesn't roll, it bounces. The golf course is an extremely important part of the bay as far as housing costs and values. We had a project that was scheduled to be done in 4 to 5 years for $181,000, and we're going to do that bag restoration instead of replacing greens. Well, a golf course isn't a golf course if you can't putt on the greens. I think you should look at doing something, whether it's raising the fees. We're already losing a lot of money. We're going to lose a lot of members, and people prefer to play to a place where they can putt. I think it's a serious issue that has to be addressed by this board. Thank you.
I was going to say, John, you want to take a whack at the compression because that was in the budget you gave us.
Yes, what former trustee Wheaton was discussing is starting this October, minimum wage will go up each year for 5 years until non-tipped employees' minimum wage is $15 an hour and tipped minimum wage is $12.98. 3/4 of our current workforce has a pay grade that starts less than $15 an hour. We've estimated to meet the state minimum alone is about $250,000 cumulative, and the board has budgeted money this year to bring everybody up to the $10 minimum wage starting in October. The word compression, if you think of a pay plan where the person with the least skill set is a pay grade 1, and the person with the most desirous skill set, hardest to hire, is 100. A normal pay plan from 1 to 100, you have a 100 range pay plan. If you artificially bring up the bottom, say 15 steps, you have compressed the people at pay grade 16 through, say, 30 or so. And that's the concern Mr. Wheaton and others have espoused, is we have some of our semi-skilled folks currently making in the $17, $18 an hour range. They're making roughly $10 more than minimum wage. Doing nothing but meeting the minimum requirements of the state, in a little over 5 years, those people theoretically will be making $3 to $4 more than minimum wage here if they're still here. Likely what will happen is other organizations will advertise a similar job at a much higher rate, and that person will move on, and then you're trying to hire somebody at a rate the people with the skill set you want won't come and work anymore. To address compression, no one advocates taking the person at the top of the pay plan and adding 75 to 80% of their pay on top of what they currently make. And that's what you're doing to the lowest paid person here over the next 5 to 6 years. But at some point, the Bay will either lose the vast majority of their semi-skilled, skilled management employees to other places and hire folks in probably at more money than the incumbents were making, or you'll have to pay those folks more money. I've ballparked that compression cost anywhere from $350,000 to $500,000 a year. Put that in perspective, our entire pay plan, our compensation for 115 employees, which 34 are full-time, is a little over $2 million. So you're talking in a 6-year window of going up 25 to 35% on your pay. I know a lot of folks here are retired on fixed incomes, but don't blame me, blame the voters who passed the constitutional amendment last November. I've told the trustees, my advice to them was, in the 23 budget they develop next year, put some money in. It'll probably be more than what people like to see. I'm thinking in the $15,000 to $30,000 range. Bring an outside firm in and have them do a pay and class plan, and have an outside firm give you a roadmap of how to address compression. Barefoot Bay is unique from other local governments. I live up in West Melbourne. West Melbourne's workforce, 3% of their staff is part-time people. That's because they have police officers, street workers, utility workers, professional people who make more than $15 an hour. Our staff is 2/3 part-time that make less than $15 an hour. So it is something that the board has taken a step at. It's a problem that future boards will have to address one way or the other. And it's something that is not going to be pleasing to the assessment, because the folks who didn't like the 80-some cent a month increase this year, they're not going to like the next 6-7 years here, because either the community is going to have to raise the assessment or have less discretionary money for projects. Did I answer that sufficiently, Trustee Grinnell?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to make sure that everybody here and in the audience knows that we have started looking at it and that it's going to make some tough decisions as we come forward.
Who wants to speak next? Come on, I know you're out there. You've had anybody first-time speaker? Bob? No?
Please give your name and address before you
Bob
speak.
Pete, 919 Jacaranda Drive. What I'd like you to do is address the issue of the time required on the board, and along with that, the fact that you're allowing people, you say they're going to be terminated, so to speak, or they're off the board, but that's not true. You can serve a couple terms, miss one term, and come back on. I would like you to really have term limitations. Also, I disagree with the wheeze, and that's not unusual because we did that quite a bit. But I would like to speak and suggest that you stay with a 5-member board. When I first came here, there were 9 people on the board of directors. And like Jeannie said, that was horrible. I used to come to meetings every time, but then it got so bad I stopped coming. And I think if you stick with 5, that you'll be fine with that. I'd also like to address the celebration. I think it was a great celebration. There was a lot of hard work put into it, and people actually sat there in the rain while we did the historian book back in the lounge part. So thank you to everybody that worked so hard on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coffey, for allowing me to double dip here. Thank you, everybody. I understand a while ago, I was told that there was once a financial committee for Barefoot Bay. I don't know how that worked out. I don't know anything about it. But I heard it was a bunch of people that have been in the finance field. They were retired, and they would volunteer their time to help figure out finances. I don't know if that would be something to look at, a finance committee versus paying an outside company to come in and try to figure out what's best for the Bay. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. I just thought that would be something to look at, once again, a financial committee to help the 5 board members to understand what the financial impacts can be. That's all. Thank you.
Ann Manzo, 208 Cobia Court. I'm not sure this is a message to the trustees. I think it might be more to staff. Debbie Oladowski stopped by my house this morning, and her comment, if she could attend today, was going to be, is there anywhere that the staff could post the menus for the 19th hole and the lounge in one spot, so that it would be easy to open it up and look at it and every day have that menu in front of you. We know it's out on Facebook, but you can't always pull it up when you're looking for it. And that was just a suggestion she wanted to pass on and see if you and Kathy could work on that.
Louise Krause, 808 Sapadilla Drive. I feel like I'm on the defensive. Just a brief mention that it doesn't make any difference whether you have 5, 7, 9, 11, or 13. If you don't have people who are respectful of the community, respectful of their responsibilities as trustees, it doesn't make any difference. If they're disrespectful, they will continue to wreak havoc on a board of trustees. They will continue to be 5-4 in every situation, or 4-3 or 3-2, and we've seen that happen over and over and over again. It is not necessarily the number of people on the board that make it a respectful or an easy board to deal with. It's the quality of the people on the board and how much they're willing to put into the decisions that are being made. I think we've been fortunate and we've been unfortunate, and I don't believe it has anything to do with whether it's 9, 7, or 5. I believe it's the people that make the difference, whether you have more input from more people or less input from people who aren't aware of what's going on.
Okay, I know there's. Oh.
Jason Pierman with SDS. Just in the spirit of kind of sharing what other districts do, as we were speaking, special districts are all over the state, and community development districts account for about 700 of them, and that's the majority of what SDS manages. Their boards are all 5-member boards by statute, and the terms are 4 years and 2 years. So as the developer creates these districts, they have a 4 and 2 year term. So you don't have a complete turnover each time. So the top 2 vote getters get 4-year terms, and the third vote getter gets a 2-year term. And every 2 years, you have three seats coming up. Once it goes to general election, then they're all 4-year seats. So you have 1 year, you have 4 years. Next year, or 2 years later, you have 2 years. But sticking with the even numbers, that sticks with the general election cycle, which I know we're not as concerned not as concerned with that up here, but with the rest of the state, that's how they run those. So just to give you an idea, they're all 5-member boards, and once they go to general election, it's 4-year terms.
Can you send that to us, that scheme?
Yeah, it's in Chapter 190. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I know there's people out there who want to speak, but their hands are tired. Come on. This is your opportunity. This is Chairman Emeritus Klosky, CDO. I know you have something to say.
Really. The only thing I was going to talk about is that I know that some of the people are talking about paving that little roadway around East Lake there, and if it does go through that whole procedure, it would be very costly. I figure. I know me and John went and measured and everything, and we just figured out what the prices that we did in 2014 to do the Building A parking lot. We went in those prices, and so there was I think it's a third of a mile, and make it 8 feet wide by 1 inch thick. With the price of just for the tile would have been $47,000, and that's not counting the engineering drawing, your drainage and everything, plus all your sub base that you would put in there. And then another thing is, do you have the place to mobilize and demobilize your equipment, because there ain't no place really to where you're going to do it. So that's another thing that's got a problem. And then where you're going to put all the materials. So before we even think of doing something like that, I hope the trustees and everybody think ahead of themselves and say to themselves, well, you know what, probably would get costly. And I did talk to one of the engineers when I work with the Army of Corps Engineers, and I gave him a little view of what it was, and he said it would cost, and nowadays about anywhere from $130,000 to $150,000. I'm pretty sure that $130,000 to $150,000 we can spend on something much better, maybe on the lounge, expanding the outside, or the golf course, or even fund that towards the employees. So I just rather not even see anybody bring that idea up, but it's okay if you bring it up. Well, it'll be up to the board to decide, but as of right now, I would hope that the board think about it and not even consider it at all. Thank you.
Who else? Who wants to speak? Come on. There's somebody. Nobody? No. Mr. Chairman, I think that concludes audience participation.
This is it. It's your last chance. Anyone else? Oh. We have Mr. Jeff Goodrow.
Well, first I wanted to dovetail on what Mr. Wheaton was talking about on the golf course. there are some serious issues out on the golf course. I agree that the tees, or not the tees, the greens have some issues, but the banks also have some issues. So I think the only way we're going to get the golf course done, and I know this is an unpopular suggestion, is take out some sort of a loan and do it. Other than that, we're going to have that place start to fall apart. And I tell you, the golf course is huge as far as our property values. So I think somewhere down the line we're going to have to commit to the golf course. The second thing I want to bring up, and this is to take the pulse of the community here, is that, and it also involves Dave Wheaton. He's done a great job with the NRP, the Neighborhood Revitalization Program. And right now they are capped at $25,000 by the charter. And that $25,000 was put in effect in 1984. So now that $25,000 in 2021 money is $62,000. I would like to see what the appetite is to raise that acquisition limit to either $50,000 or $75,000 so that they can keep doing the good work they've been doing. NRP has done a fabulous job for the Bay.
I'm sure somebody has a comment about raising the charter cap. Come on, let me see a hand.
No, we've done it before, we've gone, we've asked, we've been turned down, not once, but many times. And it's strictly up to the legislature whether they will approve an increase in that. I doubt we're ever going to see it.
Anyone else? No one?
I was going to say, if you don't ask, you don't get. And I mean, we're talking a charter cap that was put in effect 36 years ago. I think we'd have a damn good argument. The reason I'm bringing that up is Cliff and I will soon have an appointment with Representative Fine on the Board of Trustees expansion. And that doesn't mean yes, no. That just means would he support it. But my thought was if I could get a twofer out of it while I got his attention, that's why I brought it up now. Okay. NRP is the Neighborhood Revitalization Program. And around the Bay, as you know, we do have some dilapidated and rundown projects or properties. What happens is Rich Armington does a ton of work in this. They go and they try to acquire these dilapidated properties. Right now, the total cost of the property cannot exceed $25,000. So Rich's hands are getting tied tighter and tighter every year. So what happens is the Bay takes possession of the property, does demolition work on it if it needs to be demolished, and then they put it back out at auction. And to the best of my knowledge, and correct me if I'm incorrect here, John, we have not lost money on this project. We have broke even with NRP all along.
Some individual transactions have required a subsidy, but overall the project is ahead.
And so as you go around the Bay, some of these new houses, which are now revenue sources because they've put a new home on it, brings us in $800 and some dollars a year, bring us that $1,300 social acquisition fee, and we get a brand new house out of it. So like John said, and like I said, Dave's been on that committee and done a good job with that. NRP has broken even overall since they've been founded.
Anything else from anybody? Okay, I guess it's closed.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Come back. We have someone? Name and address, please.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Ed Keeley, 101 Hydrangea Court. Just a comment, you were talking about the $25,000 thing that's been in there since '84 or whatever. I think you're going to have a hard time selling it to raise it, I'm sure. You have in the past. But if you look at it, if you bought a home back in the 70s and 80s, you could probably get a manufactured home for $25,000. You won't find one like that today. And I think you have to kind of get realistic. If we want to do anything and improve anything, you're going to have a higher rate, maybe 50, maybe 75, maybe even $100,000, as long as you're diligent in what you spend the money for. That's one of the concerns I think the people have, as to what are we going to do with that if we give you that authority to go out and spend $75,000, $100,000 for a project. It better be well thought out and well worthwhile. But I think it's time that they realize we have to up that from 20. If you ever want to get anything done, you got to get more than $25,000. That's the only way. Thank you.
I got a question for you. Over the years, was the 25,000 cap ever really violated? Was there ever?
No, sir.
Okay.
We tried a couple times to do stuff above that, and it was voted down. So I don't think anybody's that much over that. And there might be other ways to get improvements, but to use that $25,000 thing to go out and buy something was never approved. And I don't think you can get anything for $25,000 today. You know, I don't know what you're going to get that's going to help us do anything here in the Bay.
Mr. Amos.
Louise?
Just for clarification, and it's important to clarify, the $25,000 cap is on new acquisition. It is not to replace a dump truck. It is not to replace equipment that we existing have. It is not to do repair and maintenance that falls above that $25,000. If replacing is the only way to repair something, it does not apply to the cap. We had a lawsuit. Tom Ginther sued the district to get that clarification so that we could continue to make major repairs or replacements that were required because the repair would not have been feasible. So when you ask about what it's for, no, it is not for purchases. It is for new acquisitions only. And you're absolutely right. We have tried the purchasing power of $25,000 and what it is in today's money as a form of logic. We have used $125,000, thinking over the years this would give us the leeway to do more things. We have tried several different ways in several different referendums. And Mr. Keeley's response is the same as what many in the community say. The trustees will go crazy with that, but I assure you there are limitations, there are requirements, there are rules and regulations regarding that charter cap. So I would encourage you to include that in part of your discussions. Let us try it again because it is worthwhile to do. Property values have increased. They're not likely to drop in the next minute or two. Other costs also increase if you needed to purchase land for an RV park or if you needed to purchase other things to expand the community, to expand the services. It would be more than the cap of $25,000. Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? Mr. Nugent, any final remarks? No? Jeff?
No, I think the discussions were good.
Yep.
I was just going to thank everybody for coming out, and those of you that are watching out there. I would like to have a few more of these workshops. I think we had good discussion today.
Mr. Mike?
I'll second that. It was a very informative meeting, and I appreciate people coming out. I didn't expect anybody today, actually, because it was such a short notice. I'm glad everybody decided to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'd like to thank everybody that came out, too. Everybody's listening at home. I'd like to thank our staff for the job they've been doing and the CVO for the car show. Thought it was excellent. And the 50th anniversary just was outstanding. And I'd like to finally thank our audiovisual team for the good job they've been doing. All right, so this meeting is adjourned.